Thank you for being here today. I ran on accountability and transparency. Accountability and transparency is very difficult. Today, we live out one of those difficult times. Over the past several months, the San Angelo Police Department's Office of Professional Standards, it's commonly referred to as Internal Affairs, conducted an internal investigation regarding a use of force incident involving Officer Jason Gann. In late June of 2025, Officer Gann arrested a female subject during a family violence investigation. The female was 18 years of age, 5 foot, 100 pounds. She was not cooperative and was intoxicated. The female was appropriately handcuffed, seatbelted, and had her legs restrained due to her resistive behavior. Prior to leaving the scene, officers attempted to readjust the leg restraints, during which the female kicked Officer Gann in the right hip. Following this, Officer Gann grabbed the female's legs and pulled the rip hobble, which is what helped restrain her legs, tight. He then leaned in the patrol vehicle and struck her head, rendering her unconscious for a period of time. The female was transported to an area hospital and treated for her injuries. Throughout a routine oversight process, the department staff identified the incident within hours as being concerning, prompting an internal investigation. Officer Gann was placed on an alternative duty status, meaning that he was not able to enforce the laws. He was basically restricted to only be able to do administrative work. Upon the conclusion of the investigation, it was determined that Officer Gann's use of force was not in accordance with the San Angelo Police Department's policy and procedures. The force was found to be excessive in nature. The Texas Rangers reviewed the case and determined that there was no criminal elements for an offense. Consider the multiple levels of restraint that was already applied, the size disparity between the officer and the female subject, the degree of force that was used, Officer Gann's lack of accountability and response to retraining. Officer Gann was indefinitely suspended from the San Angelo Police Department this morning. We are releasing a small part of the video and blurring the face of the female subject. I requested the blurred video out of respect for the young lady involved. At this time, we do not have an external complaint, so I wanted to make sure that we give her that respect in this process. And we're now going to watch the video on the screens at this time. We're about to readjust the handcuffs right now. I'm sorry, the grip hobbles, which is on her legs, around her ankles. And he opens the door, kicks him, pulls tight, and punched her in the face, rendering her unconscious. Now, I will say, there's a whole lot more than just that short clip. But this is ultimately what it's boiled down to. When we look at the totality of everything, we have to make tough decisions. I will just say that that's not appropriate. It's not what we do. And this is not acceptable behavior. When you couple that with the fact that of a lack of accountability, ultimately the decision was made for him to be indefinitely suspended. That basically means that he is not employed. It's worded that way because you have due process. He can appeal for his job back through civil service, and so that's why it's indefinite suspension, meaning until it either is founded justified by a court or a governing body. So that's kind of where we're at. With that, I will take any questions. So she was treated at area hospitals and ultimately cleared. Best I can tell you is that, I'm gonna say she's not cooperating. I did speak to her. So she was offered an opportunity to file a complaint, and at this point has not. Again, why I respected her privacy in this. So best I can tell you is what we saw on the video is a possible concussion. What are we doing in regards to training for our staff? Yes. So since taking office, it's been one of my priorities in the department. We've been working through retraining. We've asked, has doubled our budget, and we've been pushing through that. And we've that time frame then not to punch an 18-year-old girl in the face and knock her out while she's handcuffed, rip-hobbled, and entangled up in a seatbelt. So I think that there's a lot to that. We're humans. He reacted in a human nature, but it's the accountability on the back end of that matters to me. I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that for me. Yes, ma'am. So they've all been. The question that's been posed is we've suspended several a little bit, and each case they are not the same, and we walk through each case that happens. A situation I had to deal with where officers got into trouble and they resigned on their own. This is the nature of dealing with human beings, and we make mistakes, but how we handle getting back up, taking responsibility matters to me. Training, most of these cases have nothing to do with training and everything to do with just taking responsibility for their actions and knowing better.
Chief, what's all involved in this particular training when it comes to
Yeah, so the question is, what's involved in training? We've been pushing on all sorts of training, right? The big training we pushed out is super, and making sure people understand that there is accountability in that regards. We're not just going out there trying to find people that get in trouble. This situation was 100% actions that we know shouldn't happen. We are working on, within hours and highlighted to be wrong. And so there's not much training that needs to go into that. There's training into dealing with human beings, you know what I mean? Like that whenever you do things that are inappropriate, to take ownership and responsibility through that. We try to find ways to highlight areas where people might be dealing with stress or some other issues to make sure that we help out there. But that's really the main aspect is we know not to do those things.
Was there willingness to come forward after this incident had happened from Officer Gann, or was there pushback in that?
The question is, was there any willingness for Officer Gann to come forward during the course of the investigation? Is that the best way to put it? Yep. You know, through our processes, you're required, right, to go through the internal investigation. You don't really have much of an option on that. So really not something that was at play. It was, you know, whether or not ownership and responsibility is taken is a big factor there. I will tell you that this doesn't make Officer Gann some terrible person, right? He responded like a human person would do, right? It's the fact that this is not acceptable. You shouldn't have done it. It's not what's trained. And then the accountability on the back end is a factor that is played into it. When you put all that together, the size of the victim, the citizen, I should say in this case, the circumstances surrounding it, the amount of restraints, those matter. And when we look at totality of this is ultimately where we landed as it being an indefinite suspension. There is due process for him. He'll be able to apply for that if he chooses to, and we'll walk through that as a department and as a community if that does occur.
What happens to his peace officer's license? Is he eligible to go and be a peace officer elsewhere?
Sure. Yeah, so it just has strictly only to do with his employment. This is merely a fact that we, as the San Angelo Police Department, have concluded in our investigation that this is not acceptable behavior, and so he has every right to go take employment elsewhere. I will add on that, whenever you're found to have a confirmed case of excessive force that does fall under what's called Brady material, and that has to be sent to other jurisdictions in which he might seek out employment. So it's for court processes. Any other questions? I will say this in closing. It's much easier to put this stuff aside and deal with it privately. It's much easier to maybe not give somebody accountability. But if we're going to be transparent, if we're going to be accountable, then you have to walk out and do this stuff. I don't relish this, and I'm praying for Officer Gann. I'm glad that we don't have any substantial injuries to the young lady involved, and we wish her all the best. In this, we have a responsibility to our citizens to hold ourselves to a higher count, and that's what we're doing here. Yes, sir.
One last thing, and you may have answered this already. Have there been any filings against the San Angelo Police Department because of this incident?
The question is, has there been any filings against the San Angelo Police Department this time? No, we do not have any internal complaints. There's nothing filed in any courts, and that's the only thing that I guess that you're talking about in regards to courts and regards to complaints. Yes, sir. There's nothing filed in any courts, and there's no internal, or what we call an external complaint, meaning from a citizen outside the department. All right. Thank you all guys very much. And if there's anything else, you can reach out to us for questions. Y'all have a good day.